The most powerful secret of Thoth only appears when your soul is ready. And if you hit play on this video, then something big is about to happen. You didn't end up here by accident. Even if you clicked by mistake, this moment is what will separate those still stuck in the old reality from those who are finally going to access the divine state. And I'm going to prove that to you in the next few minutes. Because the truth is, most people manifest the opposite of what they want every day without even realizing it. They think they're creating a new life, but they keep vibrating fear, doubt, and scarcity. The result? The universe only mirrors what you feel, not what you ask for. And that's why Thoth didn't leave this teaching for just anyone. It's reserved for those who have already started to feel that something's wrong with the world that's been sold to us as reality. If you watch until the end, you'll understand why your life hasn't changed yet, and what needs to happen now so that everything starts responding to your highest vibration. This could be the turning point your soul has been waiting for across lifetimes, and I'm going to guide you through it now. Take a deep breath, because the secret is about to be revealed. What is within you and me, Thoth, is the power that can do anything. It rises higher than all that is high. It penetrates deeper than all that is deep. You've already tried everything. Visualizations, affirmations, guided meditations, courses, mind maps, gratitude journals, worked on limiting beliefs, reprogrammed your subconscious, read books, followed gurus, joined live sessions, wrote down mantras, practiced that whole feel as if it's already here thing. And still it seems like the world out there isn't moving. The results don't show up like they promised. And you start to wonder in the silence of your mind, what's going wrong? This is the most dangerous part of the spiritual journey because it doesn't look dangerous. It looks spiritual. But this is where most people stay stuck for years, or forever. There's an almost invisible trap on this path, a subtle programming that says, keep doing what you're doing and wait for the universe to respond. And that's where the mistake sets in. The problem isn't what you're doing, it's what you're vibrating while doing it. Most people practice manifestation techniques while vibrating lack. They say they trust, but the whole process is driven by a feeling of waiting, of neediness, of, it's not here yet. It's like saying, I am prosperous, with your heart tight because your credit card is maxed out. It's like affirming, I am loved, while your body still carries the weight of abandonment. The universe doesn't hear the words, it hears what's behind them. And at that point, spirituality becomes a performance, a vibrational play. The person says they believe, but they vibrate doubt, says they let go, but they cling, says they know, but they keep checking the clock of reality to see if the desire has arrived. This is the invisible pattern that traps even the most aware, and all of this happens because we were taught to wait. Wait for the sign. Wait for alignment. Wait for the right time. Wait for the result. Wait for the answer. Wait for the universe. But the truth is that waiting is the opposite of manifesting, because whoever waits confirms they don't have it yet, and in the vibrational plane, that confirmation is all the universe needs to keep you exactly where you are. Thoth never said, wait for the universe to answer. He said, know thyself. And knowing yourself in this context is much more than ordinary self-knowledge. It's recognizing that you are the very source that creates, attracts, transforms, and manifests, not when the right moment arrives, but the exact instant you align with what already is. The mistake isn't in the technique, it's in the identity. Most people are trying to attract something that only manifests when you become the kind of person who naturally lives it. But as long as you position yourself as someone who doesn't have it yet, someone who is doing it to get it, you vibrate separation, you vibrate future, you vibrate absence, and it's that vibration that keeps your reality the way it is. Picture an actor on stage. If he needs to come across as someone confident, he can't pretend confidence. He needs to become it. The body changes, the breathing changes, the posture changes, the presence changes. The audience feels it, and the universe works exactly the same way. It doesn't respond to intention, It responds to embodied vibration. And that only happens when you stop acting like you are and start being. True manifestation doesn't come from the technique. It comes from the fusion of identity and certainty. There's no more, "I'll do this to see if it works." There's only, "I am this, and therefore it's already done." It's not about seeming, it's about embodying. And this is the point where most people get stuck because embodying means letting go of your old version. It means leaving behind the role of someone who needs. And that's scary because that role is comfortable, familiar, safe, but it's also what keeps you stagnant. Right now, you might be feeling like something is shifting inside, and it is, because the truth never knocks politely. It breaks in. It tears down illusions that seemed logical. It breaks apart the idea that the universe works by merit or effort. It shows that everything is already created, and that the only real work is to stop playing the character who still believes they have to wait. And it's right here that true power begins to awaken. Because now you're about to discover the turning point, the one that separates those who live in constant trying from those who become masters of vibrational manifestation. And it's exactly at this point that everything starts to change, because the secret that once seemed external, something distant you had to chase after, suddenly reveals itself as something that has always been there inside, latent, silent, and instead of chasing it, you start to move like someone who already is, like someone who already has, because waiting stops making sense when you understand what the ancients called the divine state. But what is this state really? It's not an emotion. It's not a moment of euphoria. It's not something that only shows up when everything is going right. The divine state is an internal field, a frequency of consciousness, an absolute alignment with your true nature. It's the point where you don't desire. You live as someone who's already fulfilled. You don't beg. You radiate. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, not even to the universe, because you already vibrate as the cause, not the effect. This is the place where time starts to behave differently. And no, this isn't some spiritual metaphor. It's already been observed in labs. Modern quantum physics, especially in studies on wave function collapse and the observer effect, confirms what the ancient initiates always said. Time isn't linear and reality isn't fixed. It responds in real time to the consciousness that observes it. You've probably felt this before, even if you didn't know how to explain it. Moments when everything seems to happen too fast or too slow, or everything falls into place through perfect synchronicities. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. It's a direct reflection of your internal state shaping the flow of reality. Time only exists as long as you believe in it. But in the divine state, time collapses because everything you desire already exists. And the only thing separating you from it is your perception of separation. That's why when you enter this state, you no longer wait for results. You don't need proof anymore, because the certainty you carry inside is so solid, so alive, so real, that the outer world no longer has the power to define who you are. The external becomes just a consequence, a reflection, a delayed mirror, and that's where the quiet magic begins. Things change, people reappear, opportunities align, synchronicity speeds up. But all of it comes as a response, not as a cause, because you've already become what you were looking for. And that's why Thoth never talked about attracting anything. He spoke about recognizing the truth that already is, not as a philosophical concept, but as an energetic experience. In this state, even your language changes. You don't say, "I'm waiting for abundance." You say, "I am abundance in motion." You don't say, "One day I'll find love." You walk like someone who already lives in love, because your vibration isn't trying to reach something, it's already expressing it. And reality inevitably responds, because it has no choice. It always responds to the dominant vibration of your being. But here's the most powerful detail, and one that almost no one teaches you. You do not need the world to change first to access this state. The state comes first. The state doesn't depend on outside circumstances. It's an internal decision, a choice of consciousness. You choose to vibrate like someone who already has, even if your bank account says otherwise, even if your body still feels fear, even if the world seems chaotic, because it's exactly in that contrast that power reveals itself. And when you hold that state, even in the face of absence, even in the face of the apparent void, the universe starts collapsing time and form around you, because you stopped reacting. You started creating. And at that point, something deeper begins to happen, the frequency that transforms when the new me takes control. It's in that moment when the outside still looks the same, but your inner world is no longer what it was, that something deeply transformative starts to happen, because instead of trying to fix the world out there, you shift your focus to the one thing that's always been under your control: who you choose to be. And that choice, though invisible to others, changes absolutely everything. The key was never about trying to fix reality. The key is adjusting the frequency of the being who's experiencing that reality, because reality is not a fixed place. It's a real-time reflection of your vibrational field. The way the world reacts to you depends on the who you are being as you live. And that who isn't the name you were given, or your profession, or the identity you built from past experiences. That who is the vibrational state you hold. It's the version of you that you choose to embody. And this is where the silent question comes in that changes everything. Who would I be if I already had everything I wanted? How would I think? How would I feel? How would I move through the world? Because the universe doesn't respond to your wish to change. It responds to the clarity of who you decide to be. When that identity is fully embraced, even if everything around you still says otherwise, you break the loop of the old reality, because the field around you has no choice. It obeys. It bends. It starts to realign everything from the most subtle to the most material to match the new state you're broadcasting. But pay attention. Stepping into that identity is not acting. It's not pretending everything is fine. It's not saying nice phrases while your body is shaking inside. It's living the vibration of "it already is," even when nothing seems to be happening. It's making decisions like someone who's already arrived. It's holding your posture like someone who already owns it. It's moving through the world with the silent certainty of someone already living what they asked for, without asking any more. And this doesn't take effort. It takes choice and repetition, because the conditioned mind will try to pull you back. It'll tell you you're fooling yourself, that it's better to wait a little longer, that it's not time yet. But the more you hold the vibration of the new, the more reality starts to reorganize the stage. Small details shift, people reposition, opportunities that seemed locked start to open up, not by chance, but because you've become incompatible with the old frequency. And the more you stay grounded in that new state of being, the clearer the power you've always had becomes, because now you're no longer reacting to reality. You're commanding it. You're shaping it. You're influencing the field with your presence without shouting, without proving anything, just by being. This identity shift is the bridge, the transition point between the world of trying and the field of inevitable manifestations. And when you realize that, a new kind of restlessness starts to show up. How do I make this new state my default? How do I make this vibration my base, my home, my natural way of being? And it's exactly at this point that what might be one of the most powerful tools to support this new frequency of being comes in. A little known but deeply effective process that works directly on the structure of your mind, neurofusion. Contrary to what many think, changing your reality doesn't just depend on positive thinking or light, surface-level visualizations. What truly transforms is the vibrational fusion between identity, emotion, and repetition. And that's what neurofusion does. Imagine your mind is like an operating system. Throughout your life, you've been programmed by experiences, memories, beliefs, traumas, words, images, rules. All of it got stored, repeated, and solidified in your neural networks, and it's based on that system that you see life, interpret events, react to the world, and most importantly, vibrate your reality. But this old system runs based on the conditioned self, the one that learned to wait, doubt, hesitate, control. That's what keeps the new from manifesting. Neurofusion is the process of rewriting that system, replacing the old vibrational code with a new one. But heads up, this doesn't happen through force or mechanical repetition. It happens through emotion, because the subconscious doesn't understand logical language. It responds to felt vibration, to lived feeling, to inner imagery charged with emotional truth. And when you activate that state inside you with enough intensity, your system starts to reprogram from within, without you having to force anything from the outside. Here's how it works. By closing your eyes and dropping into a deep state of relaxation, you start to create inside your mind the scene of your new reality, but not in a cold, detached way. You need to feel it like it's happening now. You need to walk inside that mental image with your whole body, with your heart pulsing, with your senses turned on. You hear the sounds, see the details, breathe in the atmosphere like you're really there, and while you do that, your brain doesn't know if it's really happening or just imagination. It just registers. This is real. That's when the magic begins, because the more you repeat this process, the stronger the neural networks linked to the new identity get. The more you feel the emotion of that experience as if it's happening now, the more your body starts producing the chemical signals that it already is happening. And over time, your natural vibration shifts, and when that happens, the field begins to respond. It's no coincidence that after intense neurofusion practices, people report unlikely encounters, unexpected offers, sudden changes in life dynamics. That's not a miracle. It's vibrational programming, because you stopped being the you who tries and became the you who already is. And when that change happens inside, the world starts reorganizing to reflect the new state you hold. But the most important detail is that this doesn't happen in a loud way. There are no flashing lights or dramatic signs. The transformation happens in silence, in the small daily choices, in the moment you realize you no longer react like you used to, when you feel something inside you has clicked, that the version of you who had to fight no longer makes sense. And that's the beginning of breaking away from the old identity, the most sensitive and most liberating part of this entire process. If you resonate deeply with this content, know that you are part of a community of truth seekers, each on their unique path. This gathering of awakened souls is becoming stronger every day. It's our shared passion for understanding and embodying these teachings that connects us. We believe in the power of community and want to provide a platform for our deepest thoughts and experiences. So here's an invitation. Share your journey in the comments below. Have you experienced moments in your life when you felt the energy shift? Have you noticed changes in how people respond to you or opportunities that have unexpectedly appeared? Let's create a space of mutual inspiration, learning, and strengthening our bonds. Your story has the power to inspire others and remind us all of the incredible transformations possible. So please don't hold back. Share your triumphs, challenges, insights, and questions. Together, we form a collective consciousness that radiates even more strongly. Join us in building this network of empowered individuals. Each comment brings us closer to unity and accelerates our spiritual evolution. Remember, you are not alone. We are here listening and learning from each other. Thank you for joining us in this extraordinary journey. May your path continue to be filled with light, truth, and infinite possibilities. A new world is being born. You don't need to understand the mechanics of it. You just need to align to it. The death of the old self is precisely in this silent point where the new state starts to stabilize inside you, that the deepest and often most challenging part of true manifestation begins, because now it's no longer about imagining what you want. It's about radically letting go of the version of yourself that no longer serves. The old identity, the you who doubts, who waits, who still sees themselves as someone separate from what they want to live. This is the sacrifice no one told you about, and no, it's not a sacrifice of pain. It's not suffering. It's a break. It's liberation. But it takes courage, because that old you built an entire story around who you are. It clung to the traumas, the beliefs, the failures, the fears, as if they were truths, as if they were part of your DNA. And even though that version is what's keeping you from manifesting, it's familiar, and familiar to the conditioned mind feels safe. But you can't live the new while still being the old. Reality only shifts when you stop sustaining what's keeping it the same. And that means letting go of the identity that complains, that blames the world, that waits for signs, that vibrates in lack. That identity doesn't need fixing. It needs to die. And that's why so many people fail even after intellectually understanding the whole process, because they don't want to release the old self. They try to drag the vibrational baggage into the new cycle. But the baggage is the block itself. The universe responds to your being, not your desire. And if your being is still rooted in the version that doubts, it doesn't matter how much you visualize, affirm, or declare. The vibration won't sustain the change. Thoth said it clearly. Nothing that is true can be lost. And that phrase, though simple, carries a deep code, because everything that truly is you, your essence, your soul, your creative power, will never be destroyed by letting go of the old self. What disappears is only the illusion, just the character built to survive in a world where you believed you were separate from power. When you let go of that version, it doesn't leave a void. It creates space. And that space is fertile. It's in that space that the new starts to bloom without effort, without struggle, because you stopped resisting. You stopped holding on to the stories that were blocking life from aligning. And in that exact moment, the silent miracle begins, because you're no longer trying to force a new reality. You've become someone it naturally aligns with. This transition doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be announced. You don't need to post that you're changing or convince anyone. You just start moving differently, thinking differently, feeling differently. Your decisions carry a new tone. Your words shift frequency. The energy in your eyes starts to speak before you even open your mouth. And those who are paying attention feel it, living in coherence and natural alignment. And that's when everything transforms, when you realize that reality doesn't need to be pushed, manipulated, or forced. Reality doesn't resist someone who lives in coherence, and someone who lives in coherence doesn't struggle. Look around you. The sun doesn't wake up in doubt, trees aren't afraid to grow, the ocean doesn't hesitate to move. All of nature is operating in the divine state, not because it tries hard, but because it remembers what it is. Every being, every element, carries an internal code that guides its expression in the world, and you have that code too. The problem is, you were taught to doubt it from a young age. You were conditioned to prove yourself, to earn, to deserve, to fight, to be someone. But what Thoth revealed to us in the spaces between words, in the symbols, in the silences, is that effort isn't a sign of power, it's a sign of disconnection. The more you have to force, the farther you are from the source. Entering the divine state isn't letting life take you or crossing your arms and waiting for miracles. It's aligning your frequency to the intelligence that's already working in everything. And when that happens, things flow with ease. The right people show up, paths open, decisions feel light, because you're no longer vibrating against the flow. You've become part of it. At this point, you no longer feel the need to explain anything, because your field speaks for you. Your presence starts to make an impact effortlessly. It's as if the whole universe recognizes who you've become and begins to cooperate, not out of obligation, but out of resonance. When that synchronicity sets in, a key shows up that few know how to use consciously. The word, because now it no longer comes from an anxious mind. It comes from the vibrational center. It carries coherence, direction, clean intention, and that's why it starts to hold real power. Thoth said, "As it is spoken, so it shall be done." But what he called spoken wasn't just about words from the mouth. It was about emitting, vibrating, declaring with the whole being, a voice that doesn't just come from the throat, but echoes from the soul all the way to the skin. A voice that doesn't ask, it commands. That doesn't wish, it manifests. And when you access that level of speech, you stop talking just to talk. Every sentence becomes a code. Every sound becomes a seed. Every choice of verb vibrates in the field like a direct instruction. And the most impressive part, the universe doesn't argue. It follows because it recognizes vibrational authority. Not social authority, not appearance, but vibration. At this stage, you start to realize that your current reality is exactly the reflection of what you've been saying about yourself, out loud or in silence. And that realization is liberating, because it puts the power back where it always belonged, with you. The power of the declared word. When you declare, the world responds, and this is exactly where your voice turns into a decree. When you say, "It is already done," you're not throwing a wish into the wind, you're activating a frequency of completion. You're no longer asking the universe for permission. You're communicating a vibrational reality that already exists and just needs to be reflected back. In this state, coincidences are no longer seen as luck. They become signs of the field being reconfigured. Small confirmations start to show up in your daily life. A name that keeps coming up, an unexpected encounter, an opportunity that seemed impossible suddenly showing up out of nowhere, but you feel deep inside that none of it is random. They're reflections of a field that's now responding to a clear vibrational command. And the most fascinating part is that you're no longer trying to control anything. You're not trying to convince life to give you something. You're vibrating like someone who already has it, and that vibration creates magnetism. People start to feel your presence differently. Your posture shifts, your gaze becomes steady, your